Hi everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books. I'm here to do the page 112 tag today, tagged by Shawn the Book Maniac, who is the creator of the tag, I think. Thanks for tagging me, Shawn. The page 112 tag basically goes like this. I choose 3 random books off my largely unread shelves, and I only do a mini review on each book based on reading page 112 to camera. So I've randomly chosen 3 books today from my Tower of Terror, Tower of Despair, Tower of Destiny pile that you would have seen in previous videos, and I did it very scientifically by closing my eyes, running my hands over the book pile, and landing randomly on a book and choosing that, and then doing that 3 times. So very scientific stroking of the pile of books. And I have chose 3 random books of different sizes, different ages, been sitting in my to be read pile, and I'm going to read them in the same order that I drew them out of the pile. And I'm going to read page 112 of each one, give a very small review of what I think of the book based on that single page read, and then I'm going to rank them at the end, 1, 2 and 3, and then right at the end, and I would like you to comment about which ranking you would have given the books, and then right at the end I'm going to reveal what those books were. And then something special, I'm just finishing off a book right now that isn't worth reviewing, by the way. So these 3 books that I'm going to do this page 112 tag are going to be my reading material for the next end of September and into October. So I'm going to read these 3 books. These will be my next 3 reads. I've rejigged my reading order of what I'm going to be doing, and these 3 page 112 reviews are going to be my next 3 books to be read starting today. So the first book, let's do this. Page 112. I do need to keep my glasses on for this one, so bear with me. I'm hopefully not getting too much light bloom or light reflection. Matt had no idea how to proceed. What was the best course of action? He'd sat on that bench trying to decide and had come up with nothing, no angle. Might as well just spit it out. Was Mr. Stratton here? He asked. The woman smiled. He still is, the dear man. You'd like to visit? Matt licked his lips, nonplussed for a moment as his mind raced. Mr. Stratton was still here, but he'd seen Vince's car leave, and he'd seen Vince at the wheel. So another Mr. Stratton. Palliative care? Vince visiting the bastard's father and uncle? Surely he was too old for a surviving grandparent. I would, yes, if that's okay. No problem. Terry gets very tired, so he may not be awake. He had his son visit not long ago, so he'll be a bit worn out, and he's easily confused these days. Father then. Interesting. That's okay. I'd still like to see him. Your family? Yeah, nephew. The woman's eyes narrowed. You're too fucking young. Matt's mind screamed. Grandnephew, actually, he quickly added. But I call him uncle. Well, aren't you a sweet man? He's in room 5, along the corridor there on the left. Thanks. Sign in first, please. Oh, aye. Matt scribbled a signature that looked like a drunk's doodle and wrote Paul Stratton in the box beside it. Who would check? Heart hammering uncomfortably fast, Matt walked away before she could ask or say any more. He poked his head cautiously into the door of room 5 and saw the drawn old man lying on the bed, eyes closed. The head of the bed was propped up about 30 degrees, and a drip stand stood beside the man's shoulder, clear tubes hanging like strange decorations in the dimly lit room. A television on the wall beyond the foot of the bed burbled softly. The room stank of white lilies, the long-established flower of the dead, with its thick, choking perfume that mugged and subdued any other smell, even the slow decay of the still just living. Ooh. Rather than stand half in the corridor like a prize lemon, Matt stepped into the room and pushed the door to behind him. That's got an exciting hint to it. That sounds really good. Something's going to happen. So Matt is this man's name, but he's pretending to be someone else when he signs into this hospital or palliative care unit. So he's pretending to be someone Stratton, Paul Stratton, pretending to be this man's nephew or grandnephew. So there's some deception happening, and I'm guessing in the next little while something is going to happen. There's a confrontation, so I really get the tension happening, that there's going to be some kind of confrontation. Not sure what's going on. The man is unconscious, so I'm not sure what sort of confrontation you can have with an unconscious man, but we'll soon see. I like it. The writing is quite simple. There's nothing too complex about it, but I like some of the imagery of looking around the hospital room with the drip tubes and the buzzing television on the wall, and I like that kind of stark imagery of the hospital. That sounds really well put together. So I'm interested to see what happens with this one. This is quite an intriguing page to start with. Okay, that's the first one. Let's try number 2. Number 2 is a short book, so page 112 comes in the last third of the book. So enjoy. A friend of mine on the rebound from an affair got involved with a guy who used to live off her. If he'd had done some housework, you could have at least said he was like a housewife, but he never even lifted a finger. But his attitude completely changed when she got pregnant, and now they look really happy. Yes, absolutely. Getting pregnant is the best thing to do with that kind of man. Everyone seemed happier than when I'd told them I'd never been in love, and they were carrying on as if they knew everything about my situation. The previous me, who'd never fallen in love or had sex, who'd never had a proper job, had sometimes been hard to read, but everything about the new me, the one who had Shiraha living with her, was clear, even my future. Listening to my friends go on about me and Shiraha was like hearing them talk about a couple of total strangers. They seemed to have the story wrapped up between them. It was about characters who had the same names as we did, but who had absolutely nothing to do with me or Shiraha. When I tried to interrupt them, I was told, "Look, just take our advice. Yes, that's right. After all, you're a novice at falling in love." That sounds nice and fun. Very, very different feeling and an emotional register to the first book. But obviously, this person that's living with Shiraha, and I'm really uncertain whether Shiraha is a man or a woman. There's some allusion to finding a man, but I'm not sure who the narrator is, whether the narrator is a woman. But I'm guessing that the two people, now a couple, one of them has always been quite unlucky in love and unlucky in work, unlucky in life in general, and things haven't really gone their way. I get the impression that the friends have always been very critical, because they're always now talking about her, I'm assuming her, talking about her in this new relationship like she isn't even there. So I like that, the detached view of watching your friends talk about your relationship like you aren't even there, like you aren't even a member of that relationship. But it's done in quite a light-hearted and fun way, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. That sounds really, really interesting and light-hearted. If you remember my review of Daisy Jones and the Six, that's exactly what I was looking for in Daisy Jones and the Six, was something light-hearted and fresh and interesting, and didn't find that at all. Didn't get that in the slightest. So hopefully maybe this is something a little light-hearted, maybe a love story or some kind of relationship story. That would interest me. That would be good. Okay, number 3. Rightio, number 3. Now, page 112 in book number 3. Book number 3 is a big book, and page 112 comes reasonably early on. It comes at the beginning of a chapter. I won't tell you the chapter number, and I won't tell you the chapter title, but here's the page. When I was 15, my younger sister died. It happened very suddenly. She was 12 then, in her first year of junior high school. She had been born with a congenital heart problem, but since that time she was in the upper grades of elementary school, she hadn't shown any more symptoms, and our family had felt reassured, holding out the faint hope that her life would go on without incident. But in May of that year, her heartbeat became more irregular. It was especially bad when she lay down, and she suffered many sleepless nights. She underwent tests at the university hospital, but no matter how detailed the tests, the doctors couldn't pinpoint any changes in her physical condition. The basic issue was supposed to have been resolved back when she'd had her operations, and the doctors were baffled. Avoid strenuous exercise and follow a regular routine, and things should settle down soon, the doctor said. That was probably all he could say, and he wrote out a few prescriptions for her. But her arrhythmia didn't settle down. As I sat across from her at the dining table, I often looked at her chest and imagined the defective heart inside it. Her breasts were beginning to noticeably develop. Her heart might have problems, but her flesh continued growing nonetheless. It felt strange to see my little sister's breasts grow by the day. Up till then she'd just been a little child, but now she'd suddenly had her first period, and her breasts were slowly starting to take shape. Yet within that tiny chest, my sister's heart was defective. And even a specialist couldn't pinpoint the defect. That alone had my brain in constant turmoil. I spent my adolescence in a state of anxiety, fearful that at any moment I might lose my little sister. Interesting, although it doesn't give much away. Obviously it's a boy or a man talking about the death of his little sister when she was 15, but we're unsure how old the boy was at that time, and it is obviously in the past. It says when my sister was 15, so it's a man remembering something about his past and the passing of his sister, and in quite detail about visits to the doctors and about hospitalisation, but also about, it's a moment in time captured, but with this growth of the girl blossoming into womanhood with her first period and her growing breasts, which for a brother to talk about her younger sister seems a little weird, I guess. That does seem strange. I'm not sure what to make of the page though as a review. I think at the beginning of a chapter where you're trying to set things up, where you're trying to tie a bow in things from the chapter before, it doesn't really give too much away. I'm sure there's a lot more going to happen. This is still very early in this large book, so I'm really uncertain where this is going to take me, but I'm intrigued. I guess I'm intrigued to see what role the boy or the man now is playing in this book. I'm guessing that this person is the main character of the book, being the central narrator at the beginning of a chapter. I'm guessing that he is the main person in the book, and it's part of his life story maybe that he's mapping out. But I'd be interested to see where it goes. It just hasn't really grabbed me like the other two books. So I guess by now you would have kind of worked out my ranking. I would rank the second book as number one, so the light-hearted one talking about relationships and about the couple being newly together. That sounded really fun, and I'm interested to see where that goes. So that would be my first ranked book. My second ranked book would be the first book, so the one with a little bit of foreboding and mystery, where he's lied about his name, going into the hospital room to see an unconscious or a sleeping man. It felt like there was some kind of confrontation happening. That'd be my second choice. And the third choice is the third book, because it almost didn't give me enough to go on, and which makes sense when it's one page out of a 700-page book. It's really hard for one page to do it for you. So I get that, but it still didn't quite do it for me. So ranking light-hearted frivolousness number one, mystery and deception number two, and life portrait unknown as number three. But and I'd like you to comment below. I really would like you to comment below about what you thought of those three books and what your rankings would have been based on before I announce what the books are. That would be really helpful. But let me now announce the books. So, in the order that I read them. They were the dark and foreboding mystery type thing was this, Devouring Dark by Alan Baxter. You would put it in the horror magic genre, if there is such a thing. I'm now making it up. The magic horror genre, or the horror magic genre. I've read lots of books by Alan Baxter. He is an Australian guy who is known throughout the world in the horror genre. And I think this is his most recent book, but it's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. I don't know anything about it. I bought it because it was Alan Baxter and it was a signed copy that I got from the bookshop. So, signed copy from the bookshop. And but they're always like, kind of like a Matthew Riley, a non-stop action where guns and fighting and confrontation and explosions non-stop from page 1 to the end. And they're always like that, this one. But Alan's stories always include a level of magic and fantasy, so people with superpowers, and they're usually very fun. It's pure escapism. You know, you start, and I can usually read them very quickly, within a day or two, and just pure entertainment value, kind of like switching on a Fast and Furious or an action movie where you just sit it on, eat some terrible food and let 2 hours slide by. And Alan Baxter's books are kind of like that. Sorry, Alan, if that offends you, but they are exactly that. It's pure entertainment value, but wonderful entertainment value, and that's why I keep going back and reading them. So that's number 1, Devouring Dark by Alan Baxter. I don't know the story, but I will read the back for you. Matt McLeod is a man plagued since childhood by a malevolent darkness that threatens to consume him. Following a lifetime spent wrestling for control over this lethal onslaught, he's learned to wield his mysterious paranormal skill to achieve an odious goal: retribution as a supernatural vigilante. A supernatural vigilante. Goodness. So the second book, which was my highest ranked book, and I think a few people out there have read this, is the Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Sayaka Murata's Convenience Store Woman, and it sounds just like I thought it was going to be, which is really, really fun and interesting and engaging. So, just as I thought it might be, based on the bright colours of the cover and the drab convenience store ID tag. I think this kind of feels like I imagined. She found sanctuary in a supermarket. Now she's about to lose it. Keiko isn't normal. At school and university, people find her odd, and her family worries she will never fit in. To make them happy, Keiko takes a job at a newly opened convenience store where she finds peace and purpose in simple daily tasks. But in Keiko's circle, it just won't do for an unmarried woman to spend her time stacking shelves and ordering green tea. As the pressure to find a new job, or worse, a husband, increases, Keiko is forced to take desperate action. Obviously translated from the Japanese. Sounds fun. I can't wait. I'm glad I ranked that as my number 1. That's good. And the third one, it's a big book. I said it was a big book, and it really is. It is Murakami's Killing Commendatore. Again, I bought this the day it was released, hence in hardback, but the epic new novel from the internationally acclaimed and best-selling author of 1Q84. And I've kind of put it off because of the size, is the only reason. Otherwise, I just would have dived in and read it, because he really is my favourite author. But I know the page 112 didn't really grab me because it is a big book and it was the beginning of a chapter, but I'm still going to read this with absolute joy because Murakami is my number 1 favourite. And I'm glad it randomly came out of my selections. I didn't cheat, I promise. In Killing Commendatore, a 30-something portrait painter in Tokyo is abandoned by his wife and finds himself holed up in the mountain home of a famous artist. When he discovers a strange painting in the attic, he unintentionally opens a circle of mysterious circumstances. Of course he does. To close it, he must complete a journey that involves, a mysterious ringing bell, a 2-foot-high physical manifestation of an idea, a dapper businessman who lives across the valley, a precocious 13-year-old girl, a Nazi assassination attempt during World War II in Vienna, a pit in the woods behind the artist's home, and an underworld haunted by double metaphors. Okay, so he must tackle all of those things in order to close The Strange Painting in the Attic That Opened a Circle of Mysterious Circumstances. I can't wait. I know the page 112 didn't grab me, but all three of these books are now on my immediate reading list because I'm just finishing off a book that I really didn't enjoy and I'm not going to talk to you about. I'm not even going to tell you. I don't want to do another rant video right now. So I'm finishing that, and then the next three books I'm going to pick up simultaneously are these three books. And I'm excited. I think I chose well, and I'm so glad that Shawn tagged me to do the page 112 video. It was lots of fun. And I urge anyone that's watching my videos, I won't tag anyone individually, I don't know you all well enough yet, but if you're watching my video and you haven't done a page 112 tag, please do it. It's great fun. It's a great way to set up your next month's reading if that's the way you want to do it. I've had a great time. I hope you did too. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.